Hello my purple angels and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 2 on tips to memorizing Korean vocab. Alright, so if you haven't already seen part 1, please go check it out here first. This will be a continuation of that video. So without further ado, let's get started. Speak out loud. Now last week we spoke about how putting in more effort into memorizing something helps you to actually retain it better. So this adds on to that point. So if you say the word out loud or the sentence out loud as well, now you are hearing the word, you're transferring it to your memorizing system, you're creating a sentence with it, and now you are saying it out loud yourself. And now that multiplies the amount of effort that you put into memorizing this word. So the mindset you should be in is saying a word in your head or mumbled is a waste of time. It takes exactly the same amount of time for you to say the word out loud as it does saying it in your head. And yet the benefits of saying it out loud are, like we said, multiplied. It helps you to remember the word better. It helps you to put it into a sentence. Plus, you also get to work on your pronunciation. So once you have created your correlation story, say the story out loud with the word. When you come across that word in your memorizing system, again, say it out loud and don't get complacent with your pronunciation as well. Again, this is a chance for you to practice your pronunciation and perfect it. So make sure you're concentrating every single time. Now you will feel a little bit silly at first, but turn this into a habit. Always be replacing words with new ones. Okay, so the last thing we want to happen is for you to feel overwhelmed in learning Korean. And let's be honest, it is very easy for that to happen because there is a lot to learn and there are a lot of words out there. But please just think of it this way. You just need to know what you need to know for today. The rest of it, future you can worry about it. So we don't want to have like 100 words in your memorizing system. And in fact, that would just defeat the whole purpose of having a memorizing system because that might as well just be, a dictionary then. So if you use flashcards, whether it is like a physical deck of flashcards or on an app, you probably want to have somewhere around 20, 25 at the most. If you have post-it notes stuck around your house, you probably only want to have about 10 at most. And once you get a word correct, about 3 times in a row, take the word out. Be ruthless about this. And you don't have to be 100% confident that you have memorized that word. Something like 80% confident is more than good enough. If you get too hung up on being perfect, then your rate of progress is going to be very slow. Another way that you can do this is to give yourself a set number of words to remember per week. So you can start off with something like 5 if you're more busy. If you have a little bit more time, you can do maybe 10 words a week, but nothing more than 15. At the end of each week, give yourself a little test and see how many of these words you have memorized and then replace them with a new set of words. Now, any words that you find are really, really difficult to remember, they're just not sticking. Those ones, they need to be across multiple memorizing systems. So for some words, they might only be in your flashcard deck. But for the more difficult ones, they might be in your flashcards, you might have them written on a whiteboard, and you might have a post-it note about it somewhere in your house. Every few months, revise everything. Now, unless you currently live in Korea or you are surrounded by Koreans where you can practice with them verbally on a daily basis, the truth is you are going to forget these words again. Because initially you're just adding them to your short-term memory. And the thing about short-term memory is that it's short. So to transfer them across to your long-term memory, you need to do what you did with English, right? You used them and heard them over and over again until you didn't have to think about them. So once every at least 3 months, you want to have a proper sit-down session where you go through all of the words that have ever crossed through your memorizing system. They should all be written down in your vocab list. This should only take you about 30 to 40 minutes because you'll find that if you are consistent in doing this, the words at the top of your list, you will remember quicker and quicker. Now, as you do this, you will find that some words you have just completely forgotten again. Now, don't be too distraught at this. This will happen. This is just the fragility of the human mind. So when that happens, you just get that word, add it back to your memorizing system. And what you'll find is that memory, the memory of that word was somewhere in your brain. It just got a little bit lost. And so you'll find that very quickly you're able to memorize that word. Take a reality check. Okay, so memorizing words and vocab is definitely not the funnest part of learning Korean, right? But it is extremely important. So here's a bit of a reality check for you. If you can't remember a word on the spot and you need to look it up, can you really say that you know this word? Do you spend at least a few days a week doing your flashcards and yet you are stuck on the same words every single time? Do you tell yourself that because you spend every spare moment here and there doing your flashcards and going through your memorizing system, that you are learning and studying Korean? How did you answer to those questions? Now, let's be honest and real here. The amount of time that you spend on studying Korean and especially memorizing or going through flashcards is, in fact, irrelevant if you're not actually retaining and if you're not actually progressing forward. So please be honest with yourself. You want to set yourself some goals, making sure that you know how to achieve those goals, and then set some new goals and move forward. If you don't have goals, then you're not working towards anything, right? So it's just going to be these little steps, baby goals, and making sure that you're achieving each one of them and not being stagnant in our learning. Alright, Purple Angels, that concludes part 2 of Tips to Memorizing Korean Vocab. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you thought. And next week will be the final part 3, where we'll go into these memorizing systems that I keep talking about in more detail, and we can talk about exactly how you can start implementing these into your Korean studies. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. 감사합니다. 안녕히 가세요.